My name is Mike Munzing. Each week I put these videos together for you to give you an update on what's going on in the real estate market and the mortgage industry here in Orange County, California, and the nation as a whole. I run my own company, Munzing Mortgage Group, have for quite a few years. What I want you to do is go to my website at www.mikemunzing.com, and I'm going to be going over a number of reports in this video. I want you to print those out and go through those with me. Also want you to go to that online application. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. I would love to help your buyers. I've been out here 21 years, 27 years in real estate as a whole, and go over that online application so you can see what your buyers are looking at and get a real good vibe for what they have to go through, the information they have to get, because we want to get those buyers approved as quickly and as efficiently as possible, especially in this market. Okay, let's get rolling on this video. We've got a lot to cover. I don't want to make it too long. Every couple of weeks I like to cover Stephen Thomas's housing market for Orange County. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. Pause this video, be sure and print it out and go over it with me. Just a couple of things real quick. Housing demand in the last 2 weeks, he brings them about every 2 weeks. So housing demand in the last 2 weeks has dropped about 6%, down about 166 homes to a level of 2,757 homes currently in escrow as we speak. Next would be the buyers. Well, in this case, it's both the buyers and the sellers, and then their ideas towards the market. Both need to work on their expectations a little bit. Those sellers are still trying to get the real high number, and the buyers are trying to lowball everything. And what we're finding, I'm finding with the realtors that I'm working with and their buyers, is that there is a lot of lowballing going on out there. And the average sale on the report, it says the average sale price to the list price for February, for last month, was 97%. So we're not seeing a whole bunch coming off those list prices, but once again, these sellers need to be a little more reasonable as well. Finally, I want to touch on the active listings for the last 2 weeks. Once again, Stephen brings this up every 2 weeks, covers the active inventory. He has a nice chart. I'll bring it up now. You can see the chart on the report where he breaks down every 2 weeks, and currently the added homes to the market has slowed just a little bit by about 83 homes. We now have 10,761 homes currently on the market in Orange County. Let's get those buyers out there and try to get them going on that. Next would be finally is the distress market, what Stephen looks at as the short sales and foreclosures on the market, and that has dropped about 8% from the previous 2 weeks. Once again, off my foreclosure report from last month, which you can go back and look at. We may have quite a few properties coming down the pipe on that. We're going to address that in another report next. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit deep in the weeds, so you may want to pause this, rewind it, and look back at it. But many of you may have seen a report, a number that came out, very surprising, of 11 million homeowners right now. Those folks who have mortgages are currently underwater in their current mortgage across the country. That hit the market. It was hit the news. I saw it quite a few places. But then I got a report from my longtime friend, Mark Hansen. He was known as Mr. Mortgage. Now, he's actually the one that motivated me initially to make these videos. Let's look at some of the things. He had a 5-part report. I'm going to touch on all 5 real quick. It has to do with the way the foreclosures in the market has been handling these items. Number 1 is the settlement. He calls it the multi-agency mortgage servicer settlement. Different lenders were fined different amounts. We probably heard about B of A's $8.6 billion fine, and that was for about 400,000 homeowners. And that worked out to be a principal reduction of about $21,500 per borrower. Now, the problem is the overall settlement was about $20 billion, which covered anywhere between 4 and 7 million homeowners. And the problem with that, let me read the article here. It says the average reduction of mortgage amount was $2,600 to $5,000 per borrower. That is not going to do much to help them. Now, this brings us to other issues that I have. Many of you know that I am very conservative. I do believe a lot in personal responsibility. I've been preaching for years against overextending as you're getting into this market. Talk to my buyers about don't push yourself too far. Make sure you can make that payment. I've never, ever done a subprime loan. I just would not do those back in the day. I really want to know that my clients, your buyers, my clients are able to make that payment. They're going to be okay. So when I'm looking at the government looking at principal reduction, I have a serious problem with that. I often call that a societal moral hazard. It's going to get our society in trouble. When you start lowering the principal balance of folks who are in trouble on their mortgage, what does that say to all the folks who did it right, who didn't buy that home, or who bought at the right time and have been making the payments and are still in good position? They're not being handed, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's rewarding those who tried to cheat the system or in one way or another were not playing by conservative rules, or at least ideals that we've been raised on as a country. That's my biggest, huge problem there. But let's look at the problems that we're finding here is that the principal reduction is one area that the government is trying to find. I find it more of a redistribution of assets, but the principal reduction isn't really the problem. It's that monthly payment. Under the government HAMP program, on their loan modification program, the average debt to income ratio off of the gross income under that program was 65%. You're basically enslaving people into that new loan modification. They're already underwater. You've done a loan modification, so they're stuck in the home, and their debt ratio is 65% of their gross income. There's no surprise that those properties often redefault and they go back into a foreclosure situation. Next is the push. Once they start bringing in these principal reductions, there is a push for strategic defaults. Basically, people purposefully start missing their payments and getting into that situation, hoping to have that money forgiven on that. And that does what Mark lays out here are the three areas of buyers. You've got the repeat buyer, which has been the driving force for most of our real estate market over the years. When folks buy their starter home, then they move up and move up. Basically repeat buyers, folks who have bought before, they sell their home, and then they buy a nicer home or a different home or whatever. We know that what that is, repeat buyer versus the first-time home buyer or the investor. Now, our entire real estate market over the years has been driven by the repeat buyer. That's the group that has been pretty much stopped or very much hindered in this current marketplace, and that's why we do not and will not have a normal market for quite some time. One other area that he mentions in here, in that there's 11.1 million folks underwater. Now that's when they use a 100% loan to value. Basically, if you are $1 underwater from the loan amount versus the value, that is what the report was looking at for underwater. Now, Mark readdresses this in a much more frightening way, you might say, that if you look at a homeowner, basically, if they're not able to be a move-up buyer, he looks at that as basically underwater. If you are not in a situation, and he used a number of 75% loan to value, where you cannot sell your home and go buy another one after taking the realtor commissions into account, you're not really a move-up buyer. You're not able to get back in there and be a repeat buyer. So if you look at any homeowner with about 75% loan to value, which often gets you stuck in that home and you cannot be a repeat buyer, that would affect 64% of the current borrowers or homeowners out there with loans. That's 64% versus 23% at the 100% mark, which is quite a frightening number. And that is definitely one to be considered, to very much consider. So those are the first 4 points. The final one, which is quite interesting as a lot of folks are trying to see what's coming up, where are we at in this whole foreclosure market, and what have we been through, what is still to come. Let's take a look real quick. What Mark says here is that thus far, as a country, we've had about 3.5 million foreclosures and short sales from the market that we've been trying to recover from. And we may still have anywhere between 7.5 to 9.5 million still to go. He says, basically, in short, there have been 3.5 million foreclosures and short sales stemming from these legacy loans of the past. There are presently 7.5 million borrowers delinquent, defaulted, or in foreclosure at present, and that number grows by 100,000 to 125,000 every month, of which 75 to 80% of those will ultimately be liquidated either in a short sale or a foreclosure. If another 7.5 million default and loan modification defaults or redefaults occur in the next 3 to 5 years, then a total of 12 to 15 million foreclosures, short sales, and deed in lieu liquidations will occur, meaning that we are only 25% of the way through this whole process, and we may have another 75% still to go. So, not encouraging information to be sure, but I want to let you know what's really going on. Not too many people will tell you the truth, and I really study this stuff to make sure you know what's going on. Hey, on a more positive note, I do have all the loan programs for those buyers that you've got working here, and I've got my NMLS numbers for my company, myself. We're all ready to go. I'm trying to break down that April 1st new guidelines that we've got to worry about, but let's work together. Let's stay educated on what's coming and what is facing us. There's no reason to be in the dark right now. We just need to find the opportunities. I so appreciate working with you. I so appreciate working with your buyers. Give me a call anytime, 949-689-5626. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. Let's work hard this weekend. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Money, 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 money.